This video is also on financing a car, but this time we're going to use a formula instead of just using a chart. So what if we had a car loan that we wanted to look at and the chart didn't help us, right? If the interest rate wasn't on there or the time. So what we could do is we could use a formula. And I'm going to give you two here, and they're equal. It's just a difference of kind of presentation. So in this first one, I have R is P, which is our principal, times R over 12. So R is the interest rate. And because cars are always going to be paid every month, it's just divide by 12. And then times 1 plus R over 12 to the 12t. And then divide that by 1 plus R over 12 to the 12t minus 1. So this formula is not how the book presents it. The book presents it this way, which is P times R over 12, and then divide by 1 minus 1 plus R over 12 to the negative 12t. The book also doesn't use the 12. It puts the n in there, but I think it's just easier to go ahead and just say, hey, anytime we're going to do a house loan, a car loan, whatever, we're paying every month, so might as well just go ahead and stick in the 12 so we don't have to think about what that's supposed to be. I give you both of them, that way you can try whichever one you want. I feel like I see the one on the left a lot more in more different books. Our book chooses to use this one. It has a negative exponent, which is a little weird to people, but I also like this left one just because to me it has that feel for sequences and series when we talked about sums of them, that I thought maybe you could see that correlation in there, that that's where it came from. If not, no big deal, but I like that there is that tied together between different sections we covered. Because our book does tend to use this one on the right, it's the one I'll use, but I just like to give you choices. So I present them both to you. All right, so let's take an example so we can figure out what's really going on here. All right, so here's our first example. Say Frank wants to buy a Camaro listed at $28,200, and he has a $4,300 down payment. He is pre-approved for a 4-year loan at 6.7%, and we want to find the monthly payment for the loan. All right, so I'm going to use the formula that we see in our book, and let's just stick in the right amounts. So to start, I need to know what P is. Well, P is the amount he's going to finance. So I have to take the asking price of the car and subtract the $4,300 to get $23,900. R, the 6.7%, would be 0.067, and my time is 4 years. So let's go ahead and plug all of that in. So here's what it'll look like when you put it in. And I put the whole thing at once into my calculator, but when I put it in, it didn't exactly look like this. See how they made a couple little changes down here. I put parentheses around the denominator. That's really important for you to do. If you don't do that, it will do the top calculation, it will divide it by 1, and then it'll subtract the other number, and it's going to look really weird to you. Also, because so many calculators are different, some of them don't really pick up on the fact that the calculator doesn't know. It's not that it doesn't pick it up. It doesn't know that you want it to multiply 12 times 4 before you do the exponent. So you need to tell it. The easiest way to do that is just say 12 times 4 is 48 and put a negative 48 up there. If you're going to do this in more than one step, do not throw away decimal places. All right, keep them all, write them all down, write down the top one, write down the bottom one, and then divide. Don't do your rounding until the last step is when you get here to the 568 and then 0.99. So I want to use dollars and always 2 decimal places for cents. All right, so this is his car payment. Pretty steep if you ask me. All right, so let's look at another car. So let's say Carl wants to buy a Jeep, and the Jeep is priced at $32,400. Carl decides he's going to pay 8% down and finance the balance at 5.8% for 5 years. So let's find two things this time. Let's find the monthly payment, and then let's find how much interest is he going to pay on the loan. So to start, we need to find what is this 8% down payment he's making. So 8% of $32,400 comes out to be $2,592. So when we subtract that from the price of the car, we get $29,808. So that would be our loan amount. All right, so I'm going to go back to the formula we had earlier, just switching things up to $29,808 is my P, 0.058. That's from changing the 5.8 over to a decimal. It always is 12, and this time it's 5 years for the financing. So again, I added in the parentheses, and I switched the 12 times 5 into 60, and I found out he's going to pay $573.50 a month. All right, so there's our monthly payment. To find out the interest paid in total, we need to know the amount paid in total. So I'm going to take this $573.50 that is paid every month. I'm going to multiply it by the number of months paid, and it comes out to $34,410. So this is the amount we're repaying for the loan. Important when you're looking at this to look at the repayment for the loan that you look at the loan amount. So don't go back to how much the Jeep cost, go back to how much did he finance. So the $34,410 was the payment to pay off $29,808 loan, which says that Carl paid $4,602 in interest. All right, let's take a look at an amortization table. All right, so to get a feel for what happens as we pay off loans, we're going to look at this example. So say Maria finances $18,900 for a car, and she has a 4-year loan with a 3.8% interest rate. She's going to pay $418.34 a month. What I want us to do this time is to construct an amortization table for the first 4 months of the loan. So what an amortization table is, it's a breakdown of the payment. So it's going to look at, for each of those months, 1, 2, 3, 4, what was the balance at the beginning of the month, how much of the payment is interest, how much is paid in principal, and then how much is the payment in total. So let's start at the beginning of month 1. There was a balance of $18,900. That's the loan amount. To figure out the interest, we need to take the simple interest formula, I equals PRT, and apply it to this loan. So my interest here is P, the $18,900 principal we started with, the 0.038 for 3.8% interest, and then the time, it's only 1 month, so it's 1/12. So that says in that first month, $59.85 is the interest payment. So after we have the interest payment, we want to figure out what the principal payment was. So to find the principal payment, we subtract the interest from the total payment. So we already know that the payments are $418.34. The interest in the first month was $59.85. So when I subtract those two, it says $359.49 went toward the principal. So every payment will be the same, $418.34, but the interest and principal will be different every month. Okay, so let's write that in. All right, so now let's go to month 2. Month 2, I need to add in my new balance. So I take the old balance, $18,900, and subtract the principal payment, $358.49 we just paid. So now it's at $18,541.51. We again need to find the interest. So we take this new balance, $1854.51, we multiply it by the interest, 3.8%, and again it's 1 month, so it's 1/12, and I found that this time my interest is $58.71. Once again, to get the principal, I go back to the payment, the $418.34, I subtract the interest, $58.71, and it gives me my new principal. Okay, so now we can see month 2 again. See how the payments are the same, but the principal payment slightly different, the interest payment slightly different because the balance is slightly different. All right, so month 3, just here we go again. New balance, I take the old balance, $1854.41.51, I subtract the principal, $359.63. Come up with a new balance of $18,181.88. I use that, I multiply by my interest, 3.8% for 1 month, and it tells me $57.58 is the new interest payment. I subtract the interest from the total to get the new principal, $360.76. All right, so again, I just want you to notice what's happening. I want you to see that the interest rate is the interest payment is reducing. The principal payment is going up. Okay, the interest goes down because the principal or the balance is going down. So the balance goes down, the interest goes down, the principal goes up, and this is how we accomplish paying off the loan. It takes a while, right? That's okay. That's why we give ourselves plenty of years to pay it off, because it's a slow process of paying. All right, so what I want you to do now is I want you to finish out the 4th month. So pause the video for a minute, find out the new balance, the interest payment, the principal payment, total payment you already know. Then come back and check it out with me. All right, so hopefully this is what you found. The new balance from taking the old balance minus the principal we paid should come out to $17,821.12. Gives me a new interest of $56.43 and a new and then the principal payment of $361.91. Okay. So let's look at one more example. This time, let's say Claudia is buying a used Prius for $16,480. She has a $2,200 down payment, and we want to find the APR of the loan if she has 72 monthly payments of $243.46. All right, so to find the APR, we need to know a few things. One of the things we need to know is how much interest did she pay on the loan. So to figure out the interest, we take the payments times the number of payments. So I had 72 payments of $243.46, which says that's a total of $17,529.12. The loan was for $14,280, so when I find the difference of those two numbers, I find out $3,249.12 was interest. Next thing I'm going to find out is the interest charge per $100 borrowed. So to find that, I'm looking for H. And H is equal to the interest paid over the amount financed times 100. So she paid interest of $3,249.12. The amount financed was $14,280, which gives me $2,275. All right. To find APRs, we're going to use charts, and we're going to do a lot of this in later sections, so this is our first introduction to it. So if you get to homework and you have questions, go forward and look at the fixed rate loans, and then you can come back and work on the car if you need to. But let me show you a preview of these charts. So here's our chart, and what we had, and let's go back and look at it, is I had a 72-month loan, and my H was $2,275. So on the chart, I'm lining those things up, and where I start is at the 72. So I'm going to look at 72 and go it over, and I'm searching for $2,275. Kind of give you a hint. There's an arrow. All right, so the arrow says $2,275, and I read up, and it says 7%. So I know that the APR of the loan that she received was 7%. A little disclaimer here, because I didn't include it in the notes so far. When I was calculating these, I'm not messing with anything like any kind of fees that they're paid at the car loan place. So we're not looking at taxes or fees, registration, anything. These are just pure amounts if we just finance solely the price of the car. So it will be different in real life that you can't escape paying taxes. All right, that's it for this video.